Episode 3562, Nothing I Do is Good Enough.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Kristianne Wargo.
Happy day. How are you doing? It is the weekend, and guess what? That means today we're starting out with relationship builders. Oh yes, this is us. How are you doing? Are you living your spouse the best, the one you're sleeping with? Well, sometimes though we run into things. Nothing I do is good enough. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted of your presence. If you already had the opportunity, you'll want to head on over to createyournow.com where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, Inspiring Connection and Community. Okay, well, we want the connection, right? And the guys are like, yeah, give me the all on sex. Yeah, come on, bring on the intimacy. And the women are like, but I want the feelings. I want the emotions. I want the nurturing. I want the caressing. Sometimes we live on two different planets as men and women. Okay. There's been books written about that. And it's very interesting because when I talk with strangers, friends, clients, my own husband, all of it, all the above, it's interesting how they're like, oh, but I know. And I'm like, do you really? I've done my own research for many years, and I've had the privilege of working with men in conjunction of what I'm doing. And so I feel like overall I have a pretty good take. Now, everybody, let me just put this disclaimer out here right now. Everybody is going to see something different, right? You're going to have your own experience. So when I'm talking to you here, understand you're supposed to be taking this as to, okay, how can I implement and what part of this can I implement into my life, into my marriage? How can this help? Okay. It's not that this is the only answer. That's not ever what I'm saying. This is to draw up conversation and thoughts. Because most of the time, again, we're not sitting around the kitchen table having these conversations with our spouses or our family or our friends and getting to the heart of what we need to be getting to the heart of. Because let's look at the journey of marriage. It's easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you're constantly falling short, like nothing I do is good enough for your spouse. Maybe you've heard that over and over and over again. Man, hun, nothing you do, like you're just not getting it right. Or for some reason they sit here and say, why couldn't you do it this way? I know, believe it or not, I've had that conversation with my husband. Actually, he has said it more to me than me to him. Part of that is because of how I see things, okay? And it just stays in my own mind. The other part, though, is he expresses it like, and he chalks up his hands like, hello? I mean, nothing I do for you is ever good enough. So it goes both ways. And I say that with genuine concern of building a strong foundation in your marriage. Because if you're on opposite ends and you can't find that happy medium and you can't come together, how can you be better together? So let's go back to nothing I do is good enough. This toxic mindset can breed discontent and resentment, which all leads to what? Bitterness. And that's that cavity, that plaque that builds up in your heart. And what happens? It begins to erode and you break away from each other. Hence, I've fallen out of love. But there's so much more to it than that, which of course, when you think about it, right, when it erodes the foundation of love and support that marriage is built on, what is left? And then you're like, yeah, that's it. I'm kind of done and finished. But wait, there's more. I feel like it's an infomercial. But wait, hold on. Don't hang up yet. There's more. You see, the cycle of perfectionism can particularly be devastating when one partner feels the weight of unrealistic expectations, leading to a disconnect that can tear apart even the strongest bonds, right? That tornado in your life that comes in. It can wreck your marriage. Recognizing and addressing the destructive patterns such as this is crucial in your marriage. You've got to say, okay, I see this. Now what do we do about it? And when you constantly feel like nothing you do is good enough for your partner, it's really time to take that step back and reassess your priorities. You are worthy of love, my friend, and acceptance, just as you are, flaws and all. Now, let me say this though. Your flaws, don't let them be excuses that you don't want to change. Oh, did that sting a little bit? I know. It hurts, doesn't it? It's very easy. Well, I'm just made this way. Can I be real with you for a minute? When someone sits there and turns around and says, well, I'm just made this way. I'm good with how I am. Honestly, I kind of want to smack them. Yeah, I did actually say that out loud. Why? Because right then, that is a reflection of a selfish heart. Calling it out like it is. Don't send me the hate mails. I want you to reflect, because if you're feeling that within yourself, you need to look in your own heart. Don't look at me. Look at your own reflection. These are hard conversations to have. And we've got to be stretched to say, okay, yeah, you know what? This is kind of what I'm dealing with. So let me ask you this question. Where are you when it comes to feeling like nothing you do is good enough? How does it show up in your relationship with your spouse, with your hubby, with your wife? And be honest with yourself. Maybe you're struggling personally or as a couple. Maybe it applies to you only in certain situations. Maybe it's not the overall arching thing when it comes to marriage. Regardless, if you want a change, you have to know what needs to change. You've got to acknowledge the hidden secrets. That is your kiss to keep it simple strategy. Acknowledge the hidden secrets. These are the things that are, the dust bunnies in our marriage. They're kind of tucked under the bed, kind of sweep them under the carpet, put them in the corner. And it's like, okay, if nobody's looking, no one will know the answer. No one will even know they exist. We don't have to figure it out. But the problem is that's the underlying factor of what? Creating the cavity within your heart, the plaque buildup. And those crevices get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where they get chipped off. And the bitterness, it's not bittersweet. It's just straight out bitterness. And you're like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm flustered. There's no reason why I need to live like this. I don't care to have a relationship because I don't have a relationship. Maybe you felt a little bit of all of that. But let me say this too, as a disclaimer. It's not the hidden secrets that you might be thinking of. For example, affairs, gambling, drinking, drugs, that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about those. That's for a deeper, even totally different conversation and episode. I'm talking about these things that are kind of like, yeah, they're there, but for the most part, you've got a great marriage, but you want to have a better one. You want to have a stronger foundation. We're getting some work done on our driveway because we've got this aggregated driveway. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But a part of it, this section, one has kind of chopped itself off. Instead of being this kind of, I don't know, it's not really a square, but it's kind of a lopsided square. I can't really describe it as this particular shape because it's kind of round. And then anyway, you get the point, right? But it has four sides. But now it's created a triangle within itself because a corner of it has kind of like shifted and it's kind of cracked. Well, I'm like, well, I get the cracking and I don't want to redo the entire driveway because when I do that, I'm going to change the whole look, which means I'm changing the back where the pool is, the front, like we're changing it all. So I'm not there yet, but I'm like, I want to raise it up. So they've got this great product that you put these little holes in. And it's this polymer of something or other. I don't know. I'll know here next week because we're getting it done. So it's exciting. And I've had it done to our sidewalks when we lived in Iowa. But now that we're here down in the South, it's like, okay, let's change this a little bit more. And I need to pump this up. So they're going to put the little holes in it. They make them even all the way across. And then they inject it with this polymer that basically doesn't blow up the actual driveway, but it raises it. And then they make it even and a little bit here and a little bit there. And they do injections all the way across. I guess you could kind of think of it as Botox for your driveway. How funny. But when you think of it that way, maybe you need Botox for your marriage in some areas because some of it's kind of chipped away and it's not so bad, but you've got to bring out what's hiding in the dark into the light. Then you can make changes accordingly. And when you can see it, then what? You can change it. So the first step in breaking free from the mindset that nothing you do is good enough is you've got to challenge the belief. Because right now, that's your thought. For the most part, when you're kind of stuck in this mindset of nothing I do is good enough, that comes from you. It's not being said to you. Now, you might be saying, oh, but Kristianne, you should hear what he says to me. Okay, I understand. Is he actually telling you nothing you do is ever going to be good enough? I'd come really close if I was a gambling girl to say, yep, nope, that's not what he's saying to you. Wifey, that's not what he's saying to you. It's not that way, okay? So it's our own belief. We make assumptions based on what? Oh, wait, he said this and this and this and this, and I put it all together. It makes out this equation that, nothing I do is good enough. Okay, that's your belief. There are some things that maybe no matter what you do, you're not going to be good enough. If you're not a carpenter and you're trying to do wood repair, maybe you're not going to be good enough to do wood repair. It may take a long time. Great, let him do it if he's so great at it. I mean, like seriously, okay? And so maybe there is some truth in some of it, but when you sit here and say, well, everything that's said, everything I do, and you just throw your hands up in the air like, hello, nothing I do is good enough. That's your belief, so you got to challenge it. Your worth is not defined by your ability to meet unrealistic standards or assumptions. Rather, it lies in your inherent value as a person, who you are as a person. So instead of seeking validation from external sources, focus on cultivating self-compassion and self-acceptance. Listen, lean in here for a minute. You have to love yourself first before someone can love you. That one stings too, doesn't it? I hate these gut check ones. It's just like the sucker punches. I know. I have these conversations with myself. In fact, sometimes my kids walk by or whatever, and I'm working, and because we're under forced renovations right now, we're about ready to have our hardwood floors done. And so I'm living in this like one side of our house, and pretty soon we're not going to even be able to be anywhere in our house except the kitchen and the hearth room. I kid you not, because the hardwood floors run throughout the house. So for a couple days, we're going to be kind of like stranded on an island within our home, but that's okay. We'll make it through. I might be kind of, complaining every once in a while, but this too shall pass. And so when you think about some of the things that I say here and the thoughts, well, I go through it, and a lot of times I'm talking out loud. And so my kids will walk by and say, did you just say something to me? And I'm like, no, just thinking out loud. But this one, when I wrote it down, because it was something that came to me, I'm like, oh, that's good. Like that's true. You have to love yourself first before someone can love you. And a lot of times we're not loving ourselves. We see our reflection and there's something wrong. I don't care if it's the age spots, if it's the crow's feet. I don't care if it's the weight gain or the lack of muscle. I don't care if it's you're feeling tired and exhausted. I don't care if you're burning the candle at both ends. I don't care if you feel like you're not being recognized at work, right? All of it boils down to, I really don't like who I see in the mirror. And that has nothing to do with anybody else in the world but you. But you see that belief of what you believe has a greater impact than anything else that's said. Why? Because you believe it. So you've got to love yourself first before someone can love you. So challenge the belief. Another thing you've got to look at is communication. Communication is key in any relationship. I mean, we could spend years talking about communication. Most of the time, the problem in relationships truly all revolves around communication. Why? Because it's like this seed, right? It's communication. And then you have the branches that come off of it, right? You've got the main trunk as being communication, but then all the branches go off of it, and then you've got the leaves. And so it just is this overarching thing of, oh my gosh, it's kind of can be a really big mess. And if you can't get to the root of it, sometimes you just have to chop down the tree. It's not very fun. But when you're willing to address these feelings of inadequacy with your spouse, you understand the value of communication. So express your concerns openly and honestly, allowing room for vulnerability and understanding. That means no judgment, none. And you both have to look at it that way. And I'm here to say this. If you ask your spouse about something, especially this, I know this is going to hit home another, man, what is it with these sucker punches today? Do I look fat? Can I just tell you, don't ever ask that question? I don't care if you're male or female, but specifically women. You ask that question, you are setting your spouse up for a fall off of Mount Everest. I kid you not, because no matter what they say, you're going to assume what they're not saying. And you're going to turn it into this whole thing of, oh, well, he thinks this and okay. And actually, he probably doesn't. You're just putting words in his mouth, but the way it was expressed, you're making assumptions, hence the communication. So unless if you really want to hear the answer from your spouse, don't ask the question. I'm serious. Especially that one. Do I look fat? There's other ways you can ask that question. We'll leave that for another episode. Maybe we'll do that on a Wellness Wednesday, because that is something, doesn't matter what relationship you're in. I don't care if it's best friends. I mean, it's even hard to ask a best friend, do you think I look fat? You ask your daughters, you're the mom, right? You ask the daughters, do you think I look fat? No matter what your daughters say, they're going to be in the doghouse, right? You thought you're putting your husband in the doghouse. Nope, daughters are going there with them. So it's just a very, very sensitive subject. And that probably, anyway, I've got a lot of surprises coming up around the corner. 2024, I thought we were going to be moving a little bit faster, but you know what? We're moving as fast as we can. We're going at God's timing. And so the end of 2024 into 2025 is going to be incredible. And just wait for it. That's all I got to say. Just wait for it. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'm very, very excited about what's to come. So many opportunities for you, for me, what we're doing within the business, the ministry, you know, how we're reaching out, our television show, etc. And you might want to become a part of many things, not just one thing. So keep your ears posted right here and make sure you're on the newsletter. So let's go back to communication. Remember, your partner is your ally, not your adversary. Together, you can work towards a healthier, more balanced, dynamic-based relationship on mutual respect and support, right? The whole thing is, it's not about, oh, this is all about me. WIIFM. Are you tuning into that? You're like, what is that? What's in it for me? If you're always listening to that station, you're never going to get anywhere in your marriage. And it's not going to be this is us. It's going to be this is me. That's not going to get very far. Not with your spouse and truly not with you. And yep, eventually the I falling out of love or that big D is going to come up because your spouse is going to be done. So when you're overcoming the cycle of perfectionism, you also need to consider the importance of self-reflection and personal growth. Now, we talked about looking at ourselves in the mirror, right? Challenging the belief. You've got communication, but the self-reflection is saying, what can I do? What can I control? Because you can't change anybody else. You can talk about communication to your spouse, but guess what? You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You've got to see, how am I receiving things? Maybe I do have issues. And it's not just because it's coming from his mouth. It may be because of some deep-seated and rooted beliefs that have come from your childhood or previous relationships. Take the time to reconnect with yourself and rediscover your passions and strengths. Embrace the journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. And then you can watch your relationships transform, all of them. But you've got to be willing to look at yourself honestly and genuinely. You've got to find your shortcomings and say, you know what? Okay, what can I change about this? How am I seen? Is it me putting that assumption, that title, or that label on me? And I'm just using what my husband has said a couple times to kind of put the extra punch in it? That's not fair to him. And it's definitely not fair to you. But when you prioritize your well-being and self-worth, you can break free from the suffocating grip of perfectionism. And then you can rediscover the joy and authenticity in your marriage. Remember, you are enough. Let me tell you again, you are enough. You are enough just as you are. The love that binds comes from two hearts. One you know, and the other you connect with. I want you to just let that soak in. The love that binds comes from two hearts. One you know, and the other you connect with. Oh, my friend, true love begins with loving your reflection. So embrace your imperfections and let your light shine bright in the darkness of doubt. Don't let these assumed beliefs become something that define your marriage. Overcoming the belief that nothing you do is good enough is going to require you to shift your mindset and a commitment to saying, I need to do what I can control first and then reach beyond my own reflection. Are you willing to do that work? Because let me tell you, remember my driveway, the little polymer, that injection of goodness? When you love yourself, you take your marriage to a whole new level. Go in peace. Be present. Be incredible. Be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.